Hey guys, what's going on? Your old buddy Tim back in the Revolved Realty studio with a very special guest today. This is proof that I do have friends all over the world, even in California. My guest today, Michael Zuber, who really isn't a guest. We're just going to get on here and chat. But Michael is one of my favorite people. He is the author of the book that I think is one of, if not the best darn book out there on how to get started in the rental market, one rental at a time. You can see that behind him there. Michael, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Tim. That's a very kind introduction. And yes, we are friends, and I am on the left coast.
Yeah,
so
you're on the short list of friends. Welcome. You look good for you. So what part of California?
So I live in the Silicon Valley. If you happen to know that area, some people call it the Bay Area, but I'm in the city of Mountain View, probably best known for having Google about a mile and a half from where I reside today. So definitely the Silicon Valley.
Well, you know, we actually just got Google here. They've located a facility in good old Huntsville. So cool. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about you, your background, the book, of course, and then I want to have a conversation with you about a lot of things, about business in general, not only our business, real estate, but with this coronavirus coming out, I think it's really important to talk about not just the effect it has on normal folks like us who, we got to stay home and not talk to anybody, but the effect it also has on real estate buyers, sellers, investors, the market in general, as well as other business. So give everybody a really quick thumbnail of who you are.
Yeah. So who I am is probably like a lot of your listeners. I was, I guess I was a, W-2 employee, which meant I worked 60 hours plus a week. I had the added pressure of having a sales or commission-based job, which means I was always 90 days away from having a bad quarter and being fired. That was just the reality of the career that I had. And, I did that for almost 20 years. Had a on my 30th birthday, for whatever reason, I remember going to a bookstore because, I traveled for a living all over the world, 100,000 miles a year.
You were in tech? What were you?
I was.
Okay.
Software tech.
Software. Same here.
Enterprise.
Yep.
Yeah. Enterprise software tech. And, I'd always go to bookstores. Yes, bookstores did exist back when I started all of this. And I would always buy books because that's how I passed my time on airplanes. And for whatever reason, I saw Rich Dad, Poor Dad on my 30th birthday, which was almost 2 decades ago. So yes, I'm that old. And I read it and it changed my life forever. The introduction in the book talked about, their condo in Portland, or her condo in Portland, his condo on Honolulu. And I'm like, oh, I've been doing this all wrong. My sales career is so high pressure. I don't want to do it forever. I need to do something different. But the thing I never got from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I must have read it 20, if not 30 times by now, is how.
Right.
Okay, how? Okay.
It was a great story, but it did not give you the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, it gave you the how. It sparked it. It changed your mindset. Your house is not an asset. All of these things, right? Which, again, I am so thankful for, but I always struggled with how. So when in doubt, I just jump in, right? And I'm like, okay, if they talk about one condo, so I guess I got to get one. So, I spent almost a year looking in the Silicon Valley because, again, every other book I found, and I have a huge library of them, said invest 30 minutes from home. I'm like, all right, well, let's do what the experts
Silicon
say,
Valley,
right?
Probably one of the highest cost of livings in the country.
It is now. It was like number 3 back when I started, so it's always been high. But I didn't know any different. That's what the book said, right? All these authors are always right because they printed a book, right? It's kind of funny.
Makes them an expert.
Yeah, of course. So I spent 52 weekends every Sunday. The wife and I, because again we were doing this together, would get in our cars and we'd try to find that magic neighborhood or street where this stuff worked, and we never did. So a year later, yes, we wasted a year. We pulled out our kitchen table and our California map and said, okay, what are we going to do? So we started drawing circles because a half hour wasn't enough. Well, what about an hour? Well, what about 90 minutes? Well, blah, blah, blah. So we got to 2.5 hours, found a city called Fresno, California, which, fast forward is where all of our rental properties are. And it just made sense. And I wasn't comfortable getting on an airplane. I wanted to go see my stuff. I'm a control freak. And, that's where we started. So the story starts with a property on 1818 Norris Drive East, 93703. We bought for 107 and rented for 1095. And boom, we were landlords.
Wow.
it doesn't start well, but the story ends well. And again, we started in 03, which should be interesting to your listeners, because we were buying houses into the run up. And we made a couple of very strategic decisions. We realized the market was hot in like 07, and when we did some 1031 exchanges, which not only saved our net worth but increased our cash flow. Then the market crashes. Much of the country is kind of boring up and down. California is exciting up, exciting down.
Right.
We saved we saved all our cash flow and increased cash flow, but the net worth still took a hit. But then we had to go buy some more stuff, right? Because stuff's on sale. And the bank said no. Even though we had, 800 credit scores, 6-figure income, 7-figure net worth, never missed a payment, bank said no, because investors were the enemy in 2010. Well, we figured that out. We found hard money, and then we said, wow, that's expensive. Then we found private money, because, nobody liked the bank rates they were getting. And we borrowed millions of dollars in private money. Bought lots and lots of stuff from like 30 or 40 houses. We bought apartment buildings for nothing down. Then lo and behold, the market turns around and comes back. The wife retired 5 years ago. I retired 2 years ago. And I've been very clear on my channel. I thought multifamily was grossly overpriced. So when I do that, I sell. So we sold a bunch of apartments about 6 to 9 months ago. And, thankfully, we're sitting on a pile of cash now, and we are ready to pounce and add more houses this year to our portfolio than we have in the last 2 years. And we were adding last 2 years. So I'm excited about what's coming. But really the point of that whole story is, we've been active investors for a long time. We have dramatically pivoted at the right points now, 3 different occasions. So I'm getting really irritated when people call me lucky. I look at my market every single day. I hate that. I just hate it.
You're so lucky.
Just because, yeah, of course. Yeah. Just because you're not willing to look at your market every day for 20 years and understand what a bad, average, good, and great deal is, doesn't make me lucky. It makes me consistent.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our story in a nutshell.
And how many how many units do you have now? All these
units
years later?
Now I think we're down to 157, I think, or 158.
Just 157?
Yeah, just
is that a mix of multifamily and single?
Yes. Yeah, if you look at when we retired, I think we were 185, 184, something like that. It was predominantly apartments. We moved out of apartments, as I shared, roughly about a year ago. You can sort of pencil it in. So we sold a lot of units, or actually I shouldn't say sold. We exchanged apartments back to houses. Because again, I'm very easy. If you want to overpay for something, I will gladly sell it to you, and I will move my equity to somewhere else. So our unit count went down because, again, apartments, you just get more of them, but our cash flow went up because houses are better investments. Our rental income went up. So we exchanged one house or one apartment building for 15 houses. We did a 1031 exchange for one seller who wanted out, and we moved the equity into houses, and we're glad we did. So, yes, when one market is hot, we will sell. If you want to overpay, I will gladly sell it to you, and I'll move it somewhere else.
Well, this is one of the reasons I liked your book, and you and I have talked about this before, is unlike Rich Dad, which just kind of laid out the theory and the story, you actually dive in nuts and bolts. And
I go through all the phases, the good, the bad. We start with 1, we end with 170, whatever it was. And, not everything worked, but, the first thing I did when I retired, because I was I don't know if it's obvious to your viewers yet, but I'm kind of a type A person who gets kind of focused. I needed something to do, right? You're 45 years old. You've been running 1,000 miles an hour for 30 years or whatever it is. And then you out. And your body doesn't know what to do. Right?
Yeah.
I was days away from just getting a job to be busy. And that would have been such a failure. Right. So it's when I took down the task of, okay, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad again, and it still didn't give me the keys to how to do it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to at least tell our story.
Yeah.
I think some folks will find it interesting. We didn't do everything right. We did lots of things wrong. Let's talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, and see if we can help folks. And so far it is getting rave reviews. I think it's almost 150 reviews with, 99% of them 5 stars. The people that don't like it are like, I want more. Tell me more. Like, that's not what the book was, man. The book was our story. It is our story. It's our authentic story. And, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So,
let's go back to the beginning for just a few minutes. I want to spend on this and talk about a couple of things stand out to me about you. Number one, it's usually the tech guys and gals who are very analytical, They don't just jump out there and buy the first house they see on Craigslist. You did a ton of research. You did a lot of boots on the ground. You were in, again, arguably one of the, I would think one of the most difficult markets to do rentals in, simply because of the economy there. So you expanded your circle. Now that in itself would have scared a lot of people off.
Sure.
You know, I don't know if I would be comfortable doing rentals and flips 2 hours from home. So that was a big thing. Talk about, and that had to be a conversation you had with your wife. Okay, we want to do this, but we are going to have to go out this far to do it.
Yeah, I can still remember that kitchen table conversation because, again, we had a physical California map on the table, right? It wasn't look at your Google Maps or anything. This is, back in the early 2000s. And what it really came down to is we were more afraid of having to work 40 years and taking a shot, right? As the book highlights, we were just coming off losing 6 figures in the stock market. So we were familiar with what losses feel like. But we were frankly more scared of having to work for 40 years. And I didn't know if I could do it. There was part of me, if I took true serum, that thought the job would kill me, right? It literally is high pressure every quarter. The clock doesn't stop. The .com crash happens. It doesn't stop. 9/11 happens. It doesn't stop. The financial crisis happens. It doesn't stop. This virus happens. It doesn't stop. I mean, it's wickedly stressful. And I was 30 years old, killing it. I hit my numbers, probably 90% of the time, but was always afraid the next one would be the miss.
Right.
And I knew I didn't want to do it for 40 years.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be a good outcome. So the answer is I was more afraid of not taking a shot than taking a shot. Like that whole regret thing. Regret would have killed me. What
was the appeal of real estate over just opening a retail shop or doing, something business related? What was the allure of real estate?
Again, that Rich Dad Poor Dad made it seem easy, right? It made it seem passive, which was, I wouldn't say a lie. I was certainly enchanted.
So it was a bit of a gloss over.
Yeah. I was enchanted by the idea of buying something that I could get, a return on and then never doing anything, which is so not true. Read the book and you'll see why. But
whoa. You mean real estate is not hands-on? It's not passive?
It's not passive. No. It's not entirely passive.
Gosh, surprise.
Yeah, it's just not. But the real answer is I didn't have time, right? I knew I could carve out 15 to 30 minutes a day to look at deals. In the beginning, I knew my my job can produce the income for down payments if we got smart and started saving money, right? I talk about needs and wants. Up until my 30th birthday, we made okay living, but I spent everything. I mean, I had all kinds of stupid tchotchkes and toys and things that are just stupid. I knew if we stopped that, we could start saving and we could start buying. So the answer is I already was working crazy. We were raising a daughter. So yes, people ask me, oh my God, you didn't have kids. Yes, we had a kid. And I just got up earlier, right? I would get up and look at the market every day.
You made the time to do it.
I looked every day for 10 years, every day. Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. I looked every day for 10 years.
How long did you look before you found the first property?
Well, so if you sort of take off the year that I wasted looking in Silicon Valley, we had a property within the first 90 days in Fresno. Once we decided on that market. So about 90 days.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Fresno. What's the average sale price there? What's the population?
Today or when we started?
When you started.
When I started, I would like to say the average price of Fresno in 2003 was probably $125 to $135.
Okay.
And that would be like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-story, 1,400 square foot home, which is what we bought. Today, just so you know, almost 20 years later, it's $260.
Now, are you in Fresno now? Did you move?
Nope.
You're still 2 hours away.
2.5 hours away. It's some fun facts. I've never spent the night in Fresno.
Why don't you move to Fresno?
The wife doesn't want to is the short answer.
Well, there you go. That's the answer.
There you go. She's a foodie. She is of Asian descent. And we have yet to find a plethora of high-end Asian restaurants. There are a couple that we have found, so they're growing in the last 20 years. But until there is a huge Asian footprint, it's very unlikely that I will get Olivia to move.
Talk a little bit about why Fresno fit your requirements? What made it appealing to do your business there?
So there was a couple of things that were must-haves for me, because again, we're sitting there at the kitchen table, basically deciding, do we stay in California or do we go out of state?
Mm-hmm.
So the first, because you can get a lot of places on an airplane in 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
right?
where out of state were you thinking?
Back then, well, we were looking kind of all the way out to Texas. That was about
Okay.
as far as I was comfortable going. And even Texas was a stretch, but Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, they were all possibilities. But again, I looked at her and I said, you know what, honey? I have this freaking platinum card with, a 1K card from United, this platinum card from Marriott. I'm done flying. The last thing I want to do is get on a plane ride to see my stuff.
Right.
So that was very quickly a no answer, but we had to have that discussion. So then it became, okay, driving. So basically California was the only answer. I guess Reno could have been an answer, but that's like almost 4 hours away. And then you have winter and all that stuff. So really it became California. And then the other answer is I wanted a big city, because when you're drawing circles around Mountain View, right, in all directions, you come up with other areas that might have worked, but they weren't big enough for me, right? I wanted size to spread risk. Because
what was the population of Fresno back then?
It was about 500,000 people.
Okay, so good size.
Yeah, it's actually the 5th largest city in California. It's bigger than Sacramento, which most people don't know. It's the largest city not on the coast. So it's, most people think Fresno's like, 100,000 people. No, the county is 1 million people now. So, so I needed size because, I needed the ability to have options. And that was it, size and distance. So.
Let's talk a little bit about what were the prerequisites for what you were looking for. You said they're around 1,400 square feet.
So the only thing I knew at the time was what I'd lived in my entire life. So, at the time I was just like everybody else, extremely new, right? You buy what you know. So I was destined to buy a 3-2 or a 4-2, single story with a 2-car garage. Probably between 12 and 1,500 square feet. And, the first one we bought was 1818 Norris Drive East, which you can look up on Zillow if you'd like.
Still have it?
93703. Nope. We sold that thing or exchanged that thing in 07. That's an interesting story because I hope your audience goes and looks it up, because this is what happens when you watch your market, right? So we buy it for 107, I think in either December 02 or January 03. I don't remember the time, but you can see it in Zillow, 107. We sell it less than 3 years later for 265 or 267. I forget which. It retrades at 75 because the buyer lost it. And then just recently sold for like 178. So think about what I just told you. We buy for 107, rents for 1,100. We sell 3 years later for 260 something. We move all that equity into apartments. That's how we went from 8 to 80 so fast. The person who bought it clearly overpaid, because again, I'm watching my market and realizing this is stupid. So we sell. It goes all the way down to 75 before it sells again. And yes, I did try to buy it, but I tried to buy it at 60. So again, because I'm cheap, just because I wanted to have it back, right? You always want the first one back. Didn't happen. And then it's now 14 years later. No, I guess 12 years later, and it retrades at 178. So yes, could I have held it? Sure. But why? It's still almost $100,000 lower than when I sold it. So when we talk about California going up and down, it's very exciting, but you got to pay attention. You must learn your market. When people want to overpay, sell. Yeah. Because you just take the equity off the table. You sort of, you're that gambler who walks away a winner. And I'm glad we sold it. I'm ecstatic we sold it because, I still own the 5-unit building that we exchanged into. And it used to produce 3,000 and now it produces like 4,800, and my mortgage is like nothing. So I love that 5-unit building that Norris Drive produced.
Yeah, you've got a little different mindset than some investors. I mean, a lot of the buy and hold folks, they're going to buy it and they're going to hold it. They're not even going to consider it. But I think you are more really like a stock market investor, because you watch the market. When there's an opportunity to sell and make a lot of money, you do that, and then you come back in if the market is low, where you can re-enter. Is that your mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of my friends call me a crisis investor.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. And we got something coming, right? So yeah. I watch my market every day. I teach, the big thing, the only answer I promise students if they take my course is I'm going to teach you how to learn what a bad, average, good, and great deal is in your market, in your asset type.
Right.
And I talk about what I do every day. And, it's funny when I tell people what I'm doing, whether it was selling houses in 2008 or selling apartments in 2019, the critics always come out and say, you're too early, or you're stupid, or why would you do that? And I'm like, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you go back to Norris Drive, right, I sold at 265. The buyer was ecstatic the first year because it went to 300.
Mm-hmm.
Right. People, you're right. I was wrong. Congratulations. You made 10%.
Right.
Bam. 75. Who was right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You tell me.
One of the things that I see a lot, and I'm sure you do too, as someone who coaches and teaches and speaks, you cannot swing a stick without hitting an investor, a wholesaler, and I'm doing all these with air quotes. You know what I mean? Because everybody, it's almost like it's the lemming. Everybody sees some folks doing it and they just kind of follow behind. What I see is a lot of people that are trying to do this are not educated in the way to do it. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more to this business than watching HGTV for a season and then jumping out there and investing your own money.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, why do you still go speak? Why do you still give? Why do you still all do that? The only answer is you all are early indicators for me that there's something wrong, right? When you come to me like a year ago, maybe 18 months ago, everybody was a wholesaler, right? That's all they wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
When you come to me and 5 out of the 10 people that come shake my hand after a real estate meetup and you're a brand new syndicator looking for multi-units, I'm like, oh, signal.
Let's start at the top.
Yeah. So,
Michael, I need to raise $10 million to buy these apartments. Have you done it before?
Yeah.
No. But how hard can it be? I hear that a lot. How hard can it be? So,
and that was the reason I sold apartments and again, lots of people made fun of me. I mean, I have comments from people going, you're an idiot. Why would you do that? Cap rates are going to go down. This is my favorite one. C-class apartments do great in a recession. No, they don't. I have tax returns that prove that different.
Yeah.
And you all are believing social media and people that are trying to take your money. So
exactly.
I gladly sold. I sold for maximum dollar. I sold apartments that needed immediate 6-figure cash infusions, and people were fighting for it. I'm like, God, I can't believe you guys are doing this.
Well,
and they closed. They closed.
That's the way my market here is. You and I have talked about how hot this market is. In fact, since I was on your podcast, I've gotten a lot of California calls because this is one of the hottest places on earth right now to invest. And but what's happening is I get a lot of calls, I get a lot of emails from folks who have never done it before. They watched a YouTube video, and some of these came off the podcast that we did. And they said, well, I saw you guys talking about it. It sounds like a great way to make money. And what I always do is I'm like, well, tell me about yourself. Tell me your experience as an investor. And excuse me, if they don't have any, I'm like, you need to pump the brakes. You need to get educated. One of my best friends here is a real estate investment coach. And that's one of the things. I mean, he would love to take your money as a coach, but if your head and your heart and your wallet's not in the right place, he won't do it. So I think there is a cautionary point that we need to make to a lot of folks that just because you do it does not mean they're going to be able to jump in and do it, especially if they don't do the homework. Everybody wants the easy way.
Yeah, no. I tell people all the time, I will never pick markets. I will never recommend a market. I don't even recommend Fresno. Yeah. What I teach people to do is you need to learn your markets, understand what bad, good, average, and great is. Because the beauty of that statement is once you learn how to do it, you can take that knowledge and skill set, rinse and repeat in any market the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Real estate investing, when learned, is like the best thing I think of is like golf, right? You can play golf into your 80s. It's not like football where you have a 3-year career in your 20s and you're broken the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. If you take the time, get your head out of your butt and learn your market and understand what a good or great deal is, and that's all you ever do in your career, you're going to be great. The problem is in a hot market like the one we just left, 99% of the stuff are bad and average, and people don't want to work.
Right.
I'm like, you freaking people, I'm doing this stuff every day. And yes, I understand in a hot seller's market, it's hard. I'm sorry. Now, if you just get in the game, write offers that make sense for you, you will eventually get one. I closed on 6 listings out of the multi-listing, right? Realtor.com, Redfin last year because I made hundreds of offers. I got 6.
Mm-hmm.
So stop it. Stop whining. I've been doing it for 3 days and I can't find anything. Well, I did it for 10 years. Keep going.
Right. What are your?
People want it too easy.
When it comes to making an offer on something, what's your formula? You've got to get it for what percentage to do this work to retail it or to keep it.
I only look at and it's the thing I teach. The stuff I teach is what I do. I want to get a good or great deal in my market, and that is what best known as cash on cash. I call it yield. So in my market, the one we just left, and yes, I think we're going into a new market. If you got a 6% yield, it was a good deal. That means if it was 5 or 4 or 3, it was bad or average. So if I could find a way to get a 6% deal on a turnkey unit, great, because it's just down payment and closing costs. If I can get a 6% return on a fixer, which means down payment, closing cost, and make ready, great. If I could get 8 because I'm creative and I know how to, kind of shave the edges and do those things, that's a great deal. And I'll do those all day long. Mm-hmm. Other markets, maybe like yours, maybe average is 8%. Well, okay, great. Well, don't do any 7s then, damn it. Just because California is 6 and yours is 7, don't be stupid and do a 7. Do 9s and 10s.
Right.
That's why I don't pick markets, because I frankly think my model yield works in San Francisco or works in Manhattan. If those markets produce 3.5 on average, well, great. If you find a 4.5, you're winning. If you only do good or great deals in your market, you will eventually win. Don't bet on appreciation. Don't get stupid financing. This is a long-term game. But yeah, this works. What I teach works at any market. I don't pick markets. I don't recommend the markets. I get asked all the time, gun to head, where to go. And if it's one of those conversations, I talk about Huntsville being the one market that if I had to start over, I might look at. Mm-hmm. But of course, that violates my get on airplanes. But there's, that's probably why you get a lot of phone calls, because it's the one market I talk about as something people should look at.
It is, and we do get calls from all over the place, and I got to tell you, that's really affecting the market.
Sure it is.
Oh man, I mean, we have, like, for example, right now, a house that I bought that I was going to turn into a rental. My daughter Chelsea, who does Airbnb, she's like, this will make a great Airbnb because she is killing it in the Airbnb. She's got 3 of them. They have been at 70% occupancy for 2 years. Do the math. All right.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to Airbnb this one. Well, then our market we're at a 20-year low in inventory.
Wow.
And I mean, houses are going one day, 5 offers. And I'm like, I got to sell it. Yeah. I mean, rather than, and granted, I'm going to take I'm going in for the big hit at the beginning rather than the long term, but gosh, I can probably get more for this house in this market than I surely could have, a year ago and maybe a year down the road. I don't know. It's simply because it is a seller's market.
Nothing wrong with taking a profit. As you've heard me say a couple of times, if people want to overpay for my stuff because I know what my stuff's worth, I'll let them. I mean, hey. And, more power to you.
Well, my point of that was this. I have a list of investors. One phone call, I'm going to sell that house.
Oh, for sure.
They're either going to buy it to rent, or if they're smart, they'll Airbnb it, because our Airbnb rules here are not as strict as they are in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And, that may change sometime soon. That's something that, let me ask you about that. Are you doing any Airbnbs at all?
No Airbnbs for me. I have a model that works. One of the rules I had with Olivia when we retired is we don't chase shiny objects or new things. We don't complicate our life. So no Airbnbs, no monthly rentals, no furnished rentals, no ground up development. We have a model that worked. We're having fun with our life. Our life's now about being happy.
Good.
We don't want to add stress.
Yeah. Out of all the, you've got 157 doors. How many of those are multifamily and how many are single?
I would say, so our singles are up now. We probably have, and again, it may sound bad, but I don't count anymore. So these are rough estimates. I would say we have roughly 55 to 60 homes, right? Single family homes. I think they're all 1-story. We have 1 2-story on Grant. So mostly 1-stories, ranches. I would say the average age is the 50s. 60s, right? So they're older stock, but I only buy below the median. So if 60, let's say 57 for easy math, right? 57 are houses, which will leave 100 multifamily.
Yeah. Are you managing them yourself?
Never. I'm 2.5 hours away.
It's a setup question.
I will gladly pay someone else. Property management is the hardest thing to do. It is the least profitable. I have no idea why anybody ever would do it, but I'm glad mine is. It's also the hardest thing to do, right? We fired our first 5 property managers.
Yeah, it's hard to find a good one.
Yeah, but when you find one, treat them well. Don't grind them on price. Be thankful for what they do, and it's a lifesaver.
When you buy a property that needs work, do you have a project manager? Do you have a crew?
I do. I have a crew. Yep. Yeah, I have a crew that I rely on.
The thing that I'm finding is that's the secret. I mean, it really. I'm on my 3rd contractor on this one house, and I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard to find good people to pay this much money. Yeah. To do that sort of work. So what we're going to do, I'm going to break this up into 2 parts. The last 30 minutes, boy, time goes by fast. We've talked about your book and your background and things that are going on. I want to do a second part on the effect of, like everybody else, we're talking about the effect of the coronavirus on our industry. So we're going to do that in part 2. But to end part 1, talk a little bit about, you've already talked about the book. Where can they find it? How can they get in touch with you? That sort of thing.
Very cool. So One Rental at a Time is my umbrella brand. So you can find book. One Rental at a Time on Amazon. Yes, I finally got it produced on Audible. That
good. Was look at you.
Yeah.
I was just going to record it in the bathroom and send you the audio. Every now and then you'd hear a little flush or a fan, but it would be great.
No big deal.
Good for you. I'm glad to hear that. So is it on Audible?
It is on Audible. So awesome. Now you can get it in paperback on Amazon. It is available on Kindle on Amazon, and it is available on Audible.
Okay.
The thing that I am most, the thing that I do most frequently is I produce daily original content on my YouTube channel. Again, I'm a type A person, have to have something to do every day. And again, that is called One Rental at a Time. We just crossed 5,000 subscribers, so I'm very happy about that.
That is no small feat.
Yeah, in today's
it really isn't.
Yeah.
I know. I watch your channel a lot. The one thing you talk about a lot more than just real estate. You talk finance. You talk a lot. You talk about a lot of things, which I enjoy.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that in the second session, because all I ever do, which makes it interesting, is I watch cost of capital, which is kind of boring because rates are low.
Right.
But the other thing I watch is the consumer, and that's really going to be the conversation for our second session.
Okay.
And that's what allows me to change. Or have topics to talk about every day. Because if you watch the consumer, we'll talk about that later. But that's what I watch, and that's what I talk about.
All right.
And the YouTube channel. And again, lastly, the thing that was most requested for when I started this journey 2 years ago of retirement is help me, mentor me, take me to coffee, blah, 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 which I can't say yes to all the time. It's literally dozens a week now. So I took the time 2 months to create a course documenting everything I still do. It's called How to Get Started One Rental at a Time. And you can find that on my site, One Rental at a Time. How about that?
All right, very good. And we'll put links to everything here.
Appreciate that, because again, that How to Get Started One Rental at a Time is the best thing I've created. My goal is to help 1,000 people change their financial future, and the book is great, the YouTube channel is great, but that's the thing I created that will change your future. And it's basically what I did after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's the how. It's how do you learn a market? How do you compare deals? What is this cash on cash? What is yield? How do you build a team? It is the recipe to take Rich Dad Poor Dad's mindset shift and change your future. So that's the thing I'm most proud of.
So you go to from Rich Dad Poor Dad to Rich Dude.
Yeah,
you are the dude.
I love that. You're so creative.
Well, again, I endorse this book. I love this book. I mean, when I read this, I reached out to you on Facebook, and I'm like,
you did.
I love this freaking book, because it's finally I like, theory's great, nuts and bolts are great, but the book reads like a story, which I think is really cool. So, all right, we're going to put links to everything down. This is going to conclude part 1 with Michael. We are going to do a part 2, and we'll link that as well. So, Michael, any final words on this one?
No, I just want to thank you for doing what you do. Helping people is always a good thing. I think it's going to be especially that heart, that mindset you have is going to be especially helpful the next 6 to 9 months. So
very good, sir. Hey, it's good talking to you. Hang on there.